Southern California, California 9 Public Affairs presents Teen Talk.
It's been nearly 2 decades since the Supreme Court declared abortions legal in this country. But no matter what the law says, there's been no other issue that has stirred such an emotional uproar over whether it is right or wrong. And while millions of adults have taken to the streets to promote their opinions, statistics tell us it is the teenagers of America who will be the most directly affected by any decision on abortion. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk, we're joined by a group of knowledgeable and caring teenagers who have come to their own conclusions on abortion. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. Some of you here this morning weren't even born when Roe versus Wade was handed down in 1973. Yet you and other teenagers as a group make up one of the largest percentages of all people having abortions today. Let's start off this morning with a hypothetical question. A 14-year-old friend of yours has sex with her boyfriend and gets pregnant. What advice do you give her? Should she have the baby or should she have an abortion? Lori?
That question is very easy for me to answer. At 14, I feel you are definitely too young to raise a child, yet I feel that you have to take on a certain responsibility if you're going to go ahead and get yourself involved in that matter. To go ahead and have the baby and give it up for adoption, I think would be the best choice for the mother as far as how she will feel later in life about herself and for the child also.
And yet you know the size and dimensions of a 14-year-old young lady and whether or not she can carry a baby to term. That's another question too. Okay, so your best friend is 14 years old and she's pregnant. What advice do you tell her, Wendy?
Well, that's an easy question for me to answer too. I would answer that there's really no advice that I could give her because it's her in that situation. It's her that has to make the choice. And whereas, I would fear for myself if I was in that situation and be upset for any good friend who's in that situation. It's such a personal decision. She has to have that choice. She has to have the right to have an abortion, I feel, if that's what she decides is best for her.
Vicki, how old are you?
I'm 15.
You're 15. Okay, so let's say it's last year, it's this year. You found out today that you were pregnant. What do you do?
What I would do is I'd straight go and get an abortion because I know that I'm not responsible enough to bring up a baby. First of all, because I'm very scared. There's no way that I would even think of having a baby. I'm adopted myself. If I didn't want to get an abortion, I would put up for adoption because I have a nice family and I know that people are lucky enough to get a family like mine.
Right.
But I would still get an abortion because I know that I would not want to go through that pain and suffering.
Todd, it's your girlfriend. It's your girlfriend. You and your girlfriend have gone together, and one night in that moment of passion, you decided, you made love, and she comes over to you and says to you, as a 14-and-a-half-year-old young lady, Todd, I'm pregnant. I just found out that I'm pregnant. What do you tell her?
Well, I know the first thing I would strongly advise against an abortion. I think the boy, the male, should have just as much say. I mean, it's the woman's body, but I would be strongly against an abortion. I think there's so many other routes that can be taken. We need to be sympathetic towards the female's body and all the things that are going on. It's the hardest time you can go through, but it's wrong to get an abortion in my mind. Abortion has become a form of birth control for people who just are down to that last resort, or when you're in a situation like this. Adoptions, there's the open adoption system, which I don't know if many of us have heard about it. It's a good open system. You can still see the child. You can choose your own parents for your new child. There's other ways you can go. You can get outside help from your parents.
I agree with you. I agree with everything you're saying. I don't necessarily think abortion is the best way to go. My position, though, is that even if it wouldn't be the best way to go for you or for your girlfriend or even for myself, everyone has to have, it's such a personal right. How can the government, make a blanket statement that it's not the way to go for anyone? It's such a personal right.
The bottom line is you're going to have that choice. I think pro-choice is sort of a misnomer for the movement that calls itself pro-choice because people are always free to make whatever choice, regardless of legislation. I personally believe that abortion is very wrong. I think it's morally.
Even for that 14-year-old young lady?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think that anyone, male or female, ought to be able to decide the fate of somebody who, A, has no say in the matter,
Right.
and B, has the potential to become something that has never existed before and is genetically impossible to reproduce. I don't think it's fair to take that chance away from anyone.
You represent the pro-life point of view. Is there ever a situation that you can think of where an abortion would be okay?
I think
Yeah.
that the theory here is that at that point of conception, in my opinion, a life has been created.
I agree.
That is a human living thing. And killing a person is wrong. It's murder. But not just in the case of abortion. There's instances where taking the life of a human being may be morally justified. Maybe in the case of mercy killing, it's one's own opinion. So there's instances where there's rape, incest. There's times when you maybe it's right. Maybe taking the life of that baby is correct, but not as a means of birth control.
That girl has been raped. She has been incest with her father, and she's finding herself pregnant. Do you suggest that she have the baby?
Yes, I suggest she has the baby. That like Todd said, there's so many routes that you can take besides abortion. I mean, you can get help, support groups. There are many support groups out there. You can still have the baby and put it up for adoption. And I mean, for me personally, living with the fact that I killed something would be worse than, I mean, having a baby and giving it up.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I still feel that, I feel that, you're killing a cell. These are two little cells. This is something that can be a child. It's not actually a child.
What it can be.
But it's not a child. You're not murdering a breathing, living thing. This is like way in the beginning stages before this is actually a child. We're moving two little cells that can one day be a child, but it's not actually a child. You're not killing a living human being in the beginning stages. You're just removing cells to just like for the comfort of.
But you can't deny that the thing a chance of becoming a living being, even if you don't believe that it is one already.
Right.
But it's not a child yet. It should be the person's choice whether or not they want to bring someone into the world. They made the decisions. Other people shouldn't decide for them that they must have this
I
child.
have to intervene and make my own decision right now to hold this up for just 1 minute. One of the central issues in the abortion debate is the balancing of the mother's rights against those of the unborn child. When we come back, I want to ask our young experts how they would make a judgment when these rights can be so hard to define. Stay there, you'll find out too. Already burdened with several little children, lives in a drafty house with no job, no source of income, and she's pregnant again. Panel, would you say an abortion would be an appropriate option for her? Chris, welcome to the program. What do you think? Is that an appropriate option?
Again, I believe that it's the individual's choice, and if she feels that she cannot support that child properly and will have it, and the child may live a really terrible life, then I believe it is her option. Now, whether she should or not is up to her. I couldn't say that, yes, she will have an abortion, or it's best that she does.
I was going to agree with you. I mean, I think wordings like, is it appropriate, is that a good option? Those aren't the types of wordings that we should be using. I mean, I completely agree with Chris when she says that there isn't a right and there isn't a wrong. There's an individual choice that has to be made, and in my mind, the most important thing that we have in this country is our own individual choice. I mean, that's what this country is based upon. That's why this country's great.
Exactly. So why don't we let the baby have its own individual choice?
Well, I mean,
It's not a baby, though.
What about
It's not a baby.
responsibility, though? I mean, there's a responsibility that comes along with getting pregnant, and you got yourself in that situation, and it's like, you know, I mean, it gets to that point where what are you supposed to do, and you're making a decision not only for yourself but for somebody else, and you need to think ahead, and I think that we're very uneducated in that matter. I mean, a 14-year-old girl, how can she make a choice for herself? How mature are you at 14? I mean,
How about this mother who really can ill afford to have another baby?
well, that was irresponsible, in my opinion, of her getting herself in that situation, and I think that she should have the child and give it up for adoption. That would be the
Why
proper
should
thing
she
to do.
suffer though financially, emotionally, bringing out another child, not being able to help, raise her other kids already that have brought, that
She's
she
going
brought.
to be extremely selfish. She's already.
But this is
Not to be callous, but
something
she's
that just happened. She's already pregnant now, but then there's a possibility of removing those cells from her body,
Who's to
which
say
she should have the choice at least have the choice to remove it
I think
herself.
the fundamental difference, at least between you and me, from what I'm hearing from you, is that it's hard for me to hear you refer to that fetus as cells, because I think it's so much more than that. And I think that's why, with me, abortion is wrong or it's right. And you either support abortion or you don't support abortion. No matter what, people have free will. People are always going to be able to choose. People are able to choose illegal options all the time. I believe murder is wrong. People who are murderers choose for themselves to commit an act that's illegal. I think abortion is terribly wrong. People who choose
let me
that.
throw an idea at you, because I don't think we're going to get to this from anybody, and that is, that there is a dimension about during those 9 months of gestation where if a mother is very anxious, or she's not eating properly, or she's not conducting her life properly, the effect on the unborn fetus does happen. I think you'd agree that there is an effect on that poor eating and that poor dietary and the emotional upheaval that's going on, that's being transmitted to that baby.
Absolutely.
Doesn't that play a part in some of your thinking in terms of whether or not you believe in abortion?
Well, actually, I hope as a career to become a neonatologist, who is somebody who works on a hospital staff and works with premature newborn babies.
Right.
I believe that our country needs to emphasize much more greatly prenatal care, birth control. We're treating. I agree with Todd when he says that abortion has become a sort of after-the-fact birth control. We're saying, I got pregnant. Well, there's always that option. I can always just zap it, and I don't think that's okay. I think that it again goes along with the responsibility. We need to be more responsible.
I mean, I see what you're saying about responsibility, but on the other hand, I mean, we're all human beings. We've all made mistakes that that we regret, looking back on them. And I just think, to have the attitude that, well, this person, has in a fit of passion has, slept with her boyfriend or slept with the girlfriend, and now they need to pay, for 9 months or for the rest of their life or for whatever. I don't think that's a fair judgment for us to make. I mean, if the person wants to decide, okay, I've made a mistake, I have the responsibility now to have this child and then give it up for adoption, okay. But for outsiders who haven't been in that situation to say, okay, you've made a mistake, now you need to pay for it, I think that's wrong.
It's not so much paying for, you don't have to pay for being pregnant. I mean, there's, like I said before, a lot of support groups and stuff, and I've talked to a lot of people who have put it up for adoption. They didn't want to get pregnant. They didn't want to have the baby. But, through support, they were able to nurture that child through the 9 months and then pick their own parents, and get rid of that child.
Vicky's been trying to get in here for a little while. Let's let her get her 2 seconds in. Go ahead,
I was
Vicky.
just trying to say that you said that if somebody's pregnant, you just straight up put it into adoption. That baby can be there from 5 months to 18 years old in that adoption agency. That baby can have psychological problems. It's not fun getting brought up in an orphanage or whatever, wherever it's staying at. Because I visit people like that. I know people who.
Where do you go? What do you do?
There's a house near where I live where people have been either adopted or abused or molested as we're
As babies?
kid. Yeah.
And what signs, what things do they show?
Violence, a lot of violence. They're brought up as they're not even wanted. They're like, well, my parents gave me up. Why am I here on this earth?
But look at you for an example. To me,
I
you
was
look
one of
like
the
a
lucky
very, you're
ones.
only 15. You seem very mature for your age. You seem very aware. I'm sure you were probably brought up in a very loving home. And there's always that chance. And most people that adopt are those kind of people, the kind of people that want to have kids. They want to have it. They're not. It's not a matter of getting pregnant when they don't want to. They want to have them. And
That's true, and it's true of me because I am one of those adopting fathers. My children are adopted, but we gotta take a little moment here. People that are against abortion, from the president on down, defend the rights of the unborn. Yet there doesn't seem to be many other options for the unwed and pregnant teenager. We'll talk about that problem when we come back. Please stay there. You'll find out too. For a 14-year-old girl who's pregnant, there doesn't seem to be many alternatives other than having the child and raising it herself or aborting the fetus. Panel, what choices are there and what more can be done for the pregnant teenager? Siobhan?
I'm very close with a cousin of mine, and when she was 15 or 16, I can't remember, she got pregnant, and she became involved with the St. Anne's maternity home here in Los Angeles, and she had an open adoption also, and I can't imagine there being a more perfect situation. It was perfect for her and our family. I'm lucky that I come from a very supportive family, meaning extended family, cousins and grandmothers and everyone. But I don't know how much of a decision she had to make, because I don't believe that she favors abortion.
You can't know how strongly I feel inside my heart about two young ladies who are in their teens and who decided not to have an abortion and to go through and have their babies and give those babies up for adoption. One became my son and one became my daughter. And there, but for the grace of God, go I and go these babies, and never would I have experienced fatherhood, which that's another whole show. We'll deal with that at another time. But suffice it to say how strongly I feel about those two women wherever they are in this world, and how much I praise and honor and respect their wish that way. Chris, you have a different point of view, I think. What else could be done?
Well, no, also, I do believe in having babies and giving them up for adoption if you cannot properly support them, or if you do not want to abort them. I'm all for having children. I'm not against that, because I myself would like to have a family. But
how many children you want?
Oh, no more than 3.
No more than 3? All right.
But I really think adoption is a great choice, and if it's in the child's best interest. But then I believe in other options.
What I think is interesting is,
go ahead, Todd.
We talk about being unsympathetic, and what about the suffering they have to go through? Having an abortion, in my opinion, would be just as much suffering. It's harmful to the body. It's been proven to have detrimental effects, and in my mind, I'm sure those women look back when they're later on in life, they're more secure, and they say, I really wasted it. I could have brought someone in this world.
Good point. Nearly, let me ask you this question, pro-choicers. Nearly 40% of all abortions are for the second time. What do you say to someone who uses abortion as a means of contraception? Go ahead, Andrew.
Definitely, like as Todd remarked earlier, I'd like to say that definitely abortion is a wrong form of contraception. It's definitely wrong. But there are so many cases where the kids grow up to be delinquents, murderers, even get into drugs to, just forget about their problems. There are just so many emotional problems, both for the parents giving up their child that way. But I know it's a bad form of contraception, but it's definitely should be a possibility if the person chooses. I was always saying, if the person chooses to have an abortion, they should definitely have that possibility for themselves to make a decision about their own body.
Well said. Go
See,
ahead.
I agree somewhat with what you're saying, and I agree more with what Siobhan said earlier on in the show. I think that either you're for abortion or you're against it, and I don't like the lines that either side, either pro-choice or pro-life, draws between, well, it's, an abortion is okay in this situation and not in this, and abortion is okay in the third trimester but not in the first, or whatever. I think those are artificial. Those are self-imposed, human-imposed lines. I think that, although I can't picture myself having an abortion, as a method of birth control, I don't think there's anything more wrong with that than with having an abortion, because you use birth control and it doesn't work. I don't like the lines that either side draws, and so in that way I disagree with what he said.
Well, I think the bottom line here is that a child is at stake. No matter if it's 2 cells, as you say in the beginning, what else can that be but a child? That is a child. And I think that's the bottom line, is that a child is at stake here, and it's murder. And I just think that, a lot of people need to build from that knowledge at first.
Okay.
When you were speaking before about all the problems that children can encounter if they become delinquents, they're emotionally abused or physically abused. If people are suggesting that by abortion we can perhaps eliminate these factors from our society, I think that's very wrong, first of all, and I also think that becomes a sort of selective breeding, and that's pretty scary to me if we say, oh, well, look at the potential this child has to become a delinquent. Let's nip it in the bud and not let it have to deal with those problems, when there are people who have come from broken homes, from unhappy childhoods, who are wonderfully contributing members to our society. It's not fair to deny people
Panel,
the opportunity.
you have all said your piece beautifully, but we've got to take a break, and we'll be back with some final words of wisdom in just a moment. When does a human life begin? Who should have the right to an abortion? What rights and limits do activists have in protesting our existing laws on abortion? These are neither easy questions nor ones that should be decided in the heat of passion or answered en masse. Abortion is an issue that goes to the heart of who we are and must be decided by each of us as individuals. Some would say that abortion as an issue is absolute. The course is clear, the lines are straightly drawn, the decision black and white. But I say when it comes to people, to human lives, each with its own environment and factors, there are no easy answers. Psychological, physiological, economic, social, and emotional considerations all come into play when a young woman is confronted with whether or not she is to abort her child. I only pray she makes her own decision with no regrets and no tears and fears later. For Teen Talk, this is Joseph Feinstein saying we'll see you very soon.